Hello everyone and welcome to the episode number 6 of my series, the ELT Glossary, a place for new and experienced teachers that want or need to learn more about the ELT terminology. And if you're new to my channel, my name is Mary, and in this video you're going to see 5 fellow teachers explaining some ELT terms in a very engaging way. Don't forget to check their social media and hit me up if you want to be in the next video. Well, I'm sure you're ready to take some notes, so here they come.
You're so beautiful. Let me show you. Look at that. It is a doll, and the doll is so interesting. It reminds me about affixation. Affixation, yeah. And when we are talking about affixation, suffixation, or we are talking about prefix and a suffix, I can relate to that doll. When I open that, I have a new one. And when I open that, I have a new one, a new one, a new one. Emanoel, what is that? Let me tell you. This is the word formation. Affixation is a very important term, or affix, we are going to use in language teaching. And we have a very small word, and we can make it bigger, or we can make it smaller. And we can add at the beginning of a word, or at the end of that word. Or we are going to add a letter, or we are going to add letters. Emanoel, what does it mean? Let me show you. This is a very small word. And for instance, we got the word happy. And then we are going to say unhappy. So we are going to use a prefix. This prefix, un, it means the person is sad. And then you're going to say, oh, she was acting unhappily. Whoa. And then we are going to have an adverb. The word is like this. We make a new word. And then you're going to say, Emanoel, I have the word clean. So you're going to say cleaning. So I made it differently. Or we are going to say unclean. The doll here is changing. It was bigger and it was smaller. And this is the way a word can change. Affixation. It is a ELT important subject to be studied, to be presented, and to be learned. This is Emanoel Ceress from Brazil. Thank you very much. Bye.
No, ma sinceramente io non l'avrei neanche chiamato in causa lui, però, sai, a mali estremi, estremi rimedi. Okay, Gianmarco, do you want to try in English? Yes, okay, yes, I called my friend. Hi guys, Sandro from English with Sandro here. I'm going to talk to you about avoidance strategies. So what are avoidance strategies? Well, they're what language learners use sometimes when they don't feel comfortable or confident enough to say something they have in mind in their own language correctly in the second language. Let's take Gianmarco, for example. Hello. So Gianmarco's level is okay, but he doesn't feel comfortable enough to use specific grammatical structures or certain vocabulary, or even pronouncing a certain word in English. So what he does, he just avoids that structure, he avoids that vocab, he avoids pronouncing it altogether. He might have a very specific sentence in mind in his own language, in Italian in this case, but he doesn't feel like he can pull it off, that he can express it or translate it accurately enough in English. And so what happens is that Gianmarco and many other language learners out there start to avoid not only the grammar, the vocab and the pronunciation, but entire topics. And this is very common for any language learner. Even I sometimes do the same when I speak Spanish, for example.
Sandro, ¿qué piensas del Mundial en Qatar? Es un poco controvertido, ¿no?
Okay, the World Cup in Qatar, super controversial. You've got loads to say about this, you've got so many opinions. It's Spanish though, come on, he's looking at me, just say something. Just say,
No sé. And so the best thing you can do as a teacher is to make sure that your students don't just automatically default to avoiding certain structures in English. No way I'm trying to say that in English. Now you want to do the opposite. You want to try and make them default to taking risks. And so try to create that space where they feel confident, they feel comfortable, they feel at ease with taking those risks and not avoiding. Thanks very much, guys. I hope that was helpful.
Hi, I'm Beth Mattei, and here's another term, proficiency exams. IELTS, TOEFL, Cambridge, what do they have in common? They are all proficiency exams. Proficiency tests aim to certify that learners are at a specific level, regardless of what previous courses they have done. A proficiency test measures a learner's level of language. It can be compared to an achievement test, which evaluates a learner's understanding of specific material, a diagnostic test. They are usually taken by students that need to prove their English skills to a specific university, a company, or for immigration purposes. When teaching exam preparation, it's really important to help students cope with the stress, with pressure of taking this kind of exams. Stimulate their autonomy. Teach them how to manage time and practice. Practice as much as they can the exam to be taken.
Most of us are familiar with the term beginner, and many ESL educators will teach beginners at some point in their career. A beginner is any student who's starting to learn English and is working towards an A1 level. But did you know that when it comes to learning a second language, there are actually two types of beginners? There are true or absolute beginners and false beginners. Firstly, let's talk about true or absolute beginners. True beginners are students who have had little or no exposure to the language. They probably haven't studied it previously and they are really starting from scratch. When teaching true beginners, it's important to remember that they have little or no knowledge of the language. They may not even be familiar with the alphabet. Therefore, it's important to make sure that you start from the beginning and engage in lots of drills and repetition. On the other hand, false beginners may have been exposed to a language before and perhaps they even studied it previously. However, they're now starting again as a beginner. They may have more knowledge and a better command of the language than a true beginner. However, they are still beginners. When teaching false beginners, it's important to remember that there are probably large gaps in their knowledge. They may know some English, but it's difficult to tell how much they know, and it's really important to understand what they have studied and where the gaps in their knowledge are. Often in language learning classes, there will be both true and false beginners. It's really helpful for teachers to distinguish between the two and understand which one their students are. Often, true beginners can become a little disheartened when working alongside false beginners, as they may feel that they are lagging behind their peers. On the other hand, false beginners sometimes can become too confident, and often teachers may assume that their knowledge is greater than it is. So when teaching beginners, it's important to understand which type of beginners your students are and tailor your teaching to their needs.
My name is Confidence. I am an English teacher from Nigeria. Today, I'll be talking about consonant cluster. A consonant cluster is a group of consonants pronounced in immediate succession, or in a word, a group of consonants with no vowel in between them. There are several English words with this cluster. It's interesting to know that this cluster might just be 2 consonant sounds or 3, sometimes 4, but on few occasions. We see this cluster at the beginning of words, sometimes in the middle, and sometimes at the end of words. Here are some examples. The word blink has 2 clusters. At the beginning of that word is b and b. It's a consonant sound. It's another consonant sound. So before we pronounce that word, we go b. That's the first cluster. The second cluster is at the end of that word. K. It's a consonant sound. K. It's another consonant sound. K. So blink has 2 consonant clusters. Another example is splash. This word has a cluster at the beginning. S, it's a consonant. P and are consonants. So we go spl, splash. Can you think of more examples?
Oh no, confidence, I can't at the moment, but I would like to thank you and the other teachers for participating in this video. It's really beautiful to see teachers gathered, from different parts of the planet to help other teachers. So don't forget to check their social media out, and happy teaching, guys.
Know that the ride or die. I keep waiting on my seat. Know that the ride or die.